Friday, April 16. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Jamaica's economic performance continues to be impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica's Director General, Carol Coy, says gross value added for the Jamaican economy declined by 8.3% in the fourth quarter of 2020 when compared to the similar quarter of 2019. She was speaking at Statin's latest quarterly press brief recently. Ms. Coy says they've observed a slight growth in the economy whenever the COVID-19 safety measures are relaxed. Data shows an increase in the economy by 0.9% for the fourth quarter of 2020 when compared to the previous quarter. She notes that a decline was recorded in all service industries except for producers of government services, which grew by 0.2%.
Activities in the services industries were negatively impacted by the COVID-19 containment measures and the decline in the global travel industry. The primary contributors to the decline in the services industries were hotels and restaurants, which declined by 53.8%, the wholesale retail trade, repairs, installation of machinery and equipment, which declined by 8.8%, the other services, and this includes the arts, recreation and culture groups, which declined by 21.6%, and the transport, storage and communication industry, which declined by 10.4%.
She further explains that the impact of the pandemic on the economy is mostly apparent in the service industry.
Tourist arrivals fell significantly during the year, with stopover arrivals to the island falling by 67.2%. And as we would remember, during the period March 21 to June 14, 2020, the island's sea and airports were closed to incoming visitors to limit the risk of imported COVID-19 cases. Curfews were also implemented to limit the movement within the country. This resulted in reduced opening hours for restaurants, bars, and wholesale and retail establishments. There was also a prohibition on the staging of entertainment activities, which negatively impacted the performance of the recreation, sporting, and entertainment group.
The Statin head says value added in the producing industries grew by 0.2%.
And this was mainly attributed to the increase in the output levels in construction, which went up by 6.3%, and mining and quarrying, which grew by 6.3%. However, we had declines in agriculture, forestry, and fishing and manufacturing of 7.2% and 0.4% respectively.
Ms. Coy says the agriculture and fishes industry were affected due to the impact of heavy rainfall in the months of October and November 2020. The World Health Organization, WHO, is concerned about the increasing number of weekly COVID-19 cases and related deaths. There are also mounting concerns about the implications of COVID-19 variants around the world. WHO's Director General, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, and his technical lead, Dr. Maria Vankerkov, addressed the issues at the latest virtual COVID-19 press brief. The WHO's COVID-19 technical lead, Dr. Maria Vankerkov, says her team is aware of several variants, but one particular variant, labeled B617, appears to be more infectious.
It was first seen in two states at the end of 2020, and there is an increasing proportion of cases of this B617 that have increased since the end of last year. As you know, these virus variants, the virus mutates, the virus changes over time. This is one variant of interest that we are following. Having two of these mutations, which have been seen in other variants around the world, are concerning because there's a similarity in these mutations that confer increased transmissibility, for example, and some of these mutations also result in reduced neutralization, which may have an impact on our countermeasures, including the vaccines.
Dr. Vankerkov says her team is working with scientists around the globe to detect the variants and study them.
Variants with certain mutations do mean that it can spread more easily, which means if it spreads more easily, you will have more cases, and if you have more cases, it will put more burden on your health system.
She says a system has been put in place should there be an adverse change in mutations. Meanwhile, WHO's Director General, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, is warning of another wave of the pandemic as countries report increased COVID-19 cases.
This is approaching the highest rate of infection that we have seen so far during the pandemic. Some countries that had previously avoided widespread transmission are now seeing steep increases in infections. One of those countries is Papua New Guinea. Until the beginning of this year, Papua New Guinea had reported less than 900 cases and just 9 deaths. It has now reported more than 9,300 cases and 82 deaths. While these numbers are still smaller than other countries, the increase is sharp, and WHO is very concerned about the potential for a much larger epidemic. There is large-scale community transmission in the capital, Port Moresby, and the Western Province, and all 22 provinces have now reported cases. Our message to all people in all countries remains the same. We all have a role to play in ending the pandemic.
Dr. Ghebreyesus says the WHO continues to assess the evolution of the pandemic. Here is the latest COVID-19 clinical management summary.
In the clinical management summary for April 15, 2021, 233 positive cases were identified, pushing the overall case count to 43,473. There are now 22,978 active cases on the island. The island's death toll has now topped 700. 16 deaths were reported over the past 24 hours. However, there were deaths that had occurred between January 12 and April 14 and had been under investigation. 713 deaths is now the new total. The parish breakdown is as follows. Kingston and St. Andrew reported 59 cases, St. Catherine 75, St. James 18, and St. Anne 17. 13 cases were reported by St. Thomas, 11 in St. Mary, 9 in Portland, while Manchester recorded 8. Clarendon and Westmoreland both chimed in with 7 cases each. Trelawney 6, Hanover 3, and St. Elizabeth reported none. 103 recoveries were reported over the period, now putting that overall total to 19,472. At this time, there are 356 persons hospitalized, with 41 patients showing moderate symptoms and 33 are in critical condition. Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness said the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the need for change in the society. Addressing the House of Representatives on Tuesday, Mr. Holness said the crisis should jumpstart conversations with stakeholders on how to shape a new Jamaica. He zeroed in on the issue of entertainment.
What the pandemic has revealed is that we need to reconfigure our society. We need to sit with the stakeholders and say, we can build a new Jamaica, a Jamaica in which your entertainment can be accommodated. And if you want to party from 5 a.m. to 5 a.m. the next day, well, let us find a space for you to do that. But you should not be disturbing the nurse who has to get up at 5 a.m. to go to KPH and work. And it is a conversation that we need to have without anybody saying that we're fighting dancehall or fighting this or fighting that. It needs to be said. And until we reach the level of social maturity, without saying somebody fighting the poor or fighting down this poor man. Nobody not fighting any poor. I am fighting for the poor.
He said in that regard, the government sees music and culture as part of our economic recovery and as such will make allocations towards the industry.
So, Madam Speaker, when I say here that this government will invest in dancehall, We will invest in the music, and we will invest in the halls. And I have proven that in my own constituency, Madam Speaker. Nobody can tell me about dancehall and making the investment to create a hip strip where there is an economy around dancehall. Because what is happening is that dancehall is being hijacked. Other people are taking our music and making more money off it because the people who are carrying the music not seeing the economic value in the music. So we're going to take the time now, which we have already been discussing internally. We understand the hurt and suffering. Many have lost significant resources. So we are going to have to make an allocation. I do plan to call in the leaders of the industry. And I don't know, I am not designating anyone as leader of the industry. We will put out a call. People who want to come are free to come. Those who are established, we will speak to them. But we want to have an engagement because we see our music and our culture as a part of our economic recovery.
The Caribbean Examination Council has agreed to share the broad topics to be assessed on Paper 2 for CSEC and CAPE subjects with ministries of education across the region. The CXC, in a release, says that the topics will be available for distribution to all candidates on May 10, 2021, 5 weeks before the start of the examinations. The regional body also indicated a willingness to discuss the concerns of educators. The Caribbean Union of Teachers had recommended a narrowing of syllabus and adequate notice on the topics to be assessed to better assist students preparing for the exams this year. CXC in its release notes that candidates can indicate to their schools an intent to defer from the June/July 2021 examination cycle by May 1, 2021. The Tax Administration of Jamaica will open select offices this Saturday to facilitate customers during the amended weekend lockdowns. We get this and other stories in this extended edition of the Business Report with Gabriel Thompson.
Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ says it will open select tax offices this Saturday, April 17 and Saturday, April 24. TAJ says this is in an effort to bring greater convenience to taxpayers considering the recent amendments to the disaster risk management orders. Additionally, persons wishing to make payments for property tax may opt to utilize the added convenience of the administration's weekend operating hours as they have until April 30 before any penalty is applied. The following tax offices will operate between the hours of 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. St. Andrew, Mandeville, St. Anne's Bay, Montego Bay, Savannah Lamar, and the Old Harbour Tax Office, which will be open only on April 24. The Portmore Tax Office will also operate on both Saturdays with adjusted business hours of 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Taxpayers will be able to conduct their usual weekday transactions, including processing motor vehicle documents, paying property taxes and traffic ticket fines, applying for a taxpayer registration number, and dropping off documents for the renewal of their driver's license. Audit and compliance activities will not be available during the Saturday operation. Persons are urged to cooperate with the instructions of security personnel at locations to form an orderly line, wear a mask, sanitize their hands, and maintain the recommended physical distance of at least 6 feet. TAJ is reminding persons that they may opt to avoid a tax office visit by conducting several transactions online. In Thursday's trading session, the JSE combined index advanced by 617 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall, market activity resulted from trading in 89 stocks, of which 45 advanced, 28 declined, and 16 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 29 points to close at just over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, Caribbean Producers Jamaica Limited, and Carreras Limited. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were Blue Power Group Limited, Cargo Handlers Limited, and Siboney Group Limited. Jamaica Producers Group Limited was the volume leader with over 6 million units, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 2 million units, and Wigtown Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 1.9 million units. In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, April 15, the US dollar sold for an average $152.79. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $121.75. The pound sterling traded for $210.88, and the euro sold for an average $183.87. Oil rose to $67 a barrel on Friday and was heading for a weekly gain as a stronger demand outlook and signs of economic recovery in China and the United States offset rising COVID-19 infections in some other major economies. According to official data showed on Friday, China's first quarter gross domestic product jumped 18.3% year-on-year. On Thursday, figures showed a rise in U.S. retail sales and a drop in unemployment claims. New U.S. sanctions imposed on Russia, one of the world's top oil producers, over alleged election interference and hacking could also support prices. Brent crude futures rose 8 cents to $67.02 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 14 cents to $63.32 a barrel. And on that note, we close this Friday edition of the Business Report Inside the News on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
Regionally, in Barbados, ashfall from the volcano has prompted the island's government to include the hazard in a revamped disaster management plan. More from Barbados today.
Minister Mia Motley made the announcement during a press conference on Thursday. She said given the significant impact of the ashfall on the country following eruptions of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines volcano, the island no longer had the luxury of excluding the eventuality in its emergency planning.
Whether we like it or not, Barbados is at risk always based on the structure of the Soufriere volcano and the manner in which it explodes, it operates. Barbados is at risk always of this kind of ashfall. And this was the advice equally coming from Professor Robertson to me this morning. Recognizing as well too that there are multiple issues that have not necessarily taken and commanded people's attention. For us who remember 1979 and Soufriere, bottom line was it was nowhere near as bad as this. And to that extent, I suspect that is why even in the emergency planning in this country, it has never been fully integrated. I am here now to tell you that we don't have that luxury anymore because of the work that they have done. They know specifically that the shape of the volcano, the structure of the volcano, and the manner in which it is likely to operate. Barbados will probably, Bridgetown will probably be more at risk than Kingstown many of the times for the eruption. What does that mean? Just as we've gotten in the drill every year to be able to prepare for hurricane seasons, to know what to do with floods, we have now to have as part of our psyche the preparation of monitoring anytime Soufriere is active.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force says physical force was necessary in a mask mandate arrest, which has gone viral on social media. The incident, involving a couple and two off-duty policemen, is said to have been sparked by complaints of non-compliance to COVID-19 protocols. According to law enforcement, one of the arresting officers was bitten during the attempt to detain the alleged offender.
According to an official report from the police, the couple sought to enter the supermarket with the accompanying female not wearing a mask. The police report states that the female was cautioned several times to put on a mask, but refused. A heated verbal exchange is said to have ensued between an off-duty police officer on the scene and a male companion, during which, according to the police report, the man hurled threats and insults at the off-duty policeman. The situation degenerated further, with the policeman alleging that he was assaulted by the man and informed him that he was being placed under arrest. Then stepped in the second off-duty policeman who happened to be on the scene, and again, according to the police report, the second off-duty policeman is said to have attempted to defuse the situation by taking the man, described as aggressive, away from the scene. The attempted arrest was caught on tape and circulated on social media.
Yeah, may say so. A little situation going on Rodney Bay. Officers trying and bad up the man for a mask. The man was calm and humble. Nothing was going on, but now.
A small crowd quickly gathered, with some members of the crowd complaining that the level of aggression by the police was not warranted.
But why the officers have to... Why? Nah, that is pure may say. That is pure
One of the policemen was bitten on the arm during the scuffle. The man was eventually arrested and detained in police custody, awaiting charges. He is said to have been examined, and it was determined that he suffered no physical injury during the effort to arrest him. News Force attempted to contact the arrested man for his version of events, but was unsuccessful. Stanley Lucian for the HTS News Force.
We go now to sports. We begin with athletics. Jamaica will send a 39-member team to the World Athletics Relays, slated for May 1 to 2 in the Polish city of Silesia. According to the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, our athletes will contest 7 events: the male and female 4x100 meters, 4x200 meters, and 4x400 meters, as well as the shuttle hurdles event in a team that has 1 overseas-based athlete. Veterans such as Asafa Powell, Nesta Carter, Elaine Thompson-Hera will be included in the team. It will also include the likes of Shane Bailey, Javon Francis, Natasha Morrison, Sharika Jackson, and Christine Day. Notable absentees, however, are Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price, Brianna Williams, Chrisann Gordon-Powell, Johan Blake, and Oblique Seville. Paul Francis will be the technical leader and will have Jerry Holness, Bertrand Cameron, and Lamar Richards as coaches, while Marvin Anderson will be the team manager. In other news, the Sabina Park cricket ground in Kingston got a facelift with a new mural gracing its walls. The beautification is part of an initiative spearheaded by the Entertainment, Sport and Culture and Gender Ministry. Portfolio Minister Olivia Grange spoke of this at the recent unveiling at the grounds.
In 2019, my ministry initiated the idea of painting up your creative space. Then we partnered with the Mexican Embassy and the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, brought in the Mexican artist, Irvin, who has now done this mural, and we did Water Lane. We brought him back and decided that Sabina Park, which we have been eyeing this space for a long time, that we now wanted to do this wall. This is a nice, what I would call canvas for a mural. We started discussion with Sabina Park. It took a little while, but we were able to come to an agreement. Decision was taken that this section would be more creative expressions. And the other section of the wall, with the Sabina Park sign in the middle, the other section now would become a wall of fame, which would project our legends in cricket. So today, what we're doing, we are revealing part 1 of the concept.
Minister Grange said the Sabina mural is a coming together of key aspects of Jamaica's culture.
This is a very significant location. This is a mix of sports, which I call physical culture, art, and history. This is heritage. And so that mix today is a true expression that we are a multi-talented people.
The proliferation of murals across creative spaces in the corporate area is just the beginning. The minister said the idea is to canvas the entire island.
We're going to paint up the creative space right across Jamaica. We have started in Kingston, and we're going to expand. We're going into St. Catherine, going right across.
Established in 1895, Sabina Park is home of Kingston's cricket club and is the only test cricket ground in Kingston, Jamaica. And that's our package. On behalf of our entire hard-working production team, thanks for watching and pleasant viewing.